Halo Infinite has been out for almost an entire month now, and I think it's about time that we talk about some spoilers. Today's video will serve as a recap of events, so that way next week we can finally jump into my spoiler review of Halo Infinite. This video was made in collaboration with Conrad from Commonwealth Realm. Conrad compiled an entire timeline of events from the mainline Halo games. Seriously, he put so much work into making a fantastic recap of events, so please go check out that video. Even if you're not new to Halo or you just want to recap, it's a great video and a great resource to get caught up before we head into the story of Halo Infinite. So go watch that video and come back so we can talk all about Halo Infinite. And with all of that, let's jump right into Halo Infinite. The stage of Halo Infinite is set aboard the set piece of the Infinity, humanity's flagship war vessel. We come into view of Master Chief fighting against Banished forces when Atriox, the leader of the Banished, fights his way towards Master Chief and really just kind of destroys Master Chief. Atriox tells Master Chief that he is Atriox and he is the last face Master Chief will ever see before he dies. Then Atriox throws Master Chief off into space and seemingly kills him for good. Sometime later, Master Chief is discovered floating in space by the pilot Echo 216, a Pelican pilot that seemingly is just trying to survive in space. After Master Chief is brought aboard, they are threatened by the Banished forces outside of their Pelican, so Master Chief decides to board the Banished warship and, take the fight to them. I mean, that's what Master Chief does. This first mission serves as our first look into the Banished in Halo Infinite. They're not just a Red Covenant, but they're pieced together. They're salvagers, they're outcasts. Their name says it all, the Banished. This also serves as our introduction to Halo Infinite's main antagonist, Escharum, the replacement for Atriox after Atriox also seemingly has died. After scuttling the Banished warship, Chief and Echo 216 head to the surface of Zeta Halo, where Chief explains he is to find a weapon that is going to help fight off the Banished and whatever they're planning on Zeta Halo. Chief successfully unites with the weapon, which is an eerily similar AI to Cortana. So Chief, Echo 216, and the weapon all head out on their way to Zeta Halo, which is now fully under the control of the Banished, leaving Master Chief no other choice but to head to points of interest along the ring in order to stop whatever the Banished are planning on the Halo ring. From here, Master Chief fought his way through to find a UNSC signal that led him to a certain Spartan Griffin, who died in Chief's arms due to the torture subjected to him by a Banished war leader, Chak Locke, demonstrating once again the vulnerability of mankind at the hands of the Banished. This now fuels Chief and the weapon to press on, and after finding that the Banished are digging into a Forerunner installation, they investigate. Upon infiltrating the excavation site, Master Chief was approached by the Harbinger, who promised to aid in the Reformation and bring about the coming of the Endless, a new faction we have heard nothing about to this point. Master Chief fought, or at least again tried to fight the Harbinger, but was caught off guard and thrown out like yesterday's trash. Chief had to move. Whatever the Harbinger was doing by activating new Forerunner spires, it couldn't be good. Chief fights his way through the first spire and fights Adjutant Resolution, a monitor in Zeta Halo, which Chief is well prepared for, knowing full well what the behaviors are of monitors he's encountered in the past. Master Chief defeats Adjutant Resolution and then skydives off the tower to reunite with Echo 216. This leads the trio now to fight through more Banished points of interest, while also allowing Chief and the weapon to discover what happened while Chief was floating in space. Where was Cortana? What happened to her? And what do the Banished want to do on the Halo ring, and what do they want to take control over it for? Heading to another point of interest, our trio is shot down by Banished anti-aircraft turrets. They make it to the ground alive, but Chief will need to disable the turrets before the three can return to the air. Destroying alien weapons? Well, that's Spartan 117's speciality.
Get help, you're no match for him. He's a Sith Lord.
Chancellor Palpatine, Sith Lords are our speciality.
After disposing of the three turrets, Master Chief is warned that their party is in grave danger. Escharum has sent two Spartan killers that now stand between Chief and Echo 216. Fighting Hyperius and Tavares would be no easy task, but Master Chief always finds a way. Upon defeating the brothers, Chief is reunited with Echo 216, who finally gives us a look into who he really is, and admitted that he is a deserter that fled the battlefield and just wanted to return home to his family. He was just an engineer aboard the Infinity. This act was not condemned outright by Chief due to the circumstances both of them had found themselves in. Chief then kneels with Echo 216 and tells him he knows what it's like to fail, and tells the pilot he won't fail him like he did with Cortana. While trying to proceed through their flight through the heart of the Banished, Chief also helped the weapon recollect everything that has transpired with the last few months, including realizing what she really is, namely a copy of Cortana. Aware of the danger that she possessed as she gains this knowledge and the information that Cortana possessed, Chief seemed to be uncomfortable with the situation and tried to shut her down and terminate her, but was prevented by doing so by the weapon. I mean, who really wants to be deleted? Even so, the weapon reluctantly rejoins with Chief to finish the fight with the Banished. After fighting their way through Banished forces to get to the surface, their relationship stabilizes a little bit. Throughout the next few fights, understanding of one another is resumed. and Chief promises to not fail the weapon like he failed Cortana. Chief continued to single-handedly gun down the forces of the Banished, the Harbinger, and the Forerunner Sentinels that approached him along his way, making his way up to the observatory to be extracted by the pilot, but was unaware that Echo 216 had entered a trap set up by Jega Ardamni, the elite of the Spartan killers. Jega took Echo 216 and took him back to the head of the Banished, Escharum, where he was to be tortured and killed. After discussing the best course of action with the weapon, and knowing that the Banished would use Echo 216 to lure Chief into the House of Reckoning, Chief saw no other option but to carry on and spring the trap. Thus begins Chief Warthog Run, or Tank Run, whatever you choose, into the House of Reckoning, and man, that is one epic sequence. Once entering the House of Reckoning, their chief learned how the Banished adapted and surpassed the UNSC, giving them a clear advantage whenever they would clash again. No doubt the Banished were well prepared as they confronted humanity here on Zeta Halo. Chief continues to fight through the Banished forces however difficult, and finally makes his way to Jega Ardamni, who is probably one of the best villains and boss fights we've had in Halo to date. Master Chief finally finds his way to Escharum, and he defeats Escharum after a long and grueling battle, and eventually liberates the pilot as well. From here, the trio heads to the Silent Auditorium to confront the Harbinger. After Chief and the weapon defeated the Harbinger, it seemed that the reformation of the Endless had been halted.
Perfect. In these final moments, I know what my last mission is. I need to make sure you two learn from my mistakes. Become stronger because of them. I chose well, Master Chief. I really did. Now, it's up to you.
Master Chief and the weapon then reunite with the pilot and discuss the next plan of action, which is to work through the fighting remnants of the Banished forces on Zeta Halo, eventually making their way through anyone who rises to take Escherum's place, which is revealed to the player that this may not be as easy as foreseen. Atriox is very much alive at some point in time, and the fight is far from over. What do you think? Have you played through Halo Infinite? What are your thoughts on the campaign? I'm very intrigued to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. As always, I want to thank all my Patreons, but especially want to thank our ISO tier members Joey Ferris and Mr. Pleb. All of your guys' support is absolutely incredible, and it keeps this channel running, so thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. Guys, even if you're not a Patreon member, just watching and liking my videos really does go a long way, and it's all the thanks I need, so thank you so much. But until next time, my friends, I'll see you online. Vanilla Soup, out.